session, you know, with the tickets and everything like that. And then also after that, Liberty has requested the ability to respond. So I think that would go after all of the other presentations. So I will move to amend the agenda to replace Carolyn Patrick with Jay Hicks. Move those 4 presentations to immediately follow the other public comments from those 3, and then add a follow-up presentation by the Liberty prior to the
Support.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next item on the agenda is the statement of conflict. We've done this a couple times, so this is the chance if you are conflicted under the Township Code of Ethics Ordinance, please state that.
I'm in conflict.
Thank you. All right, now this is the time of the special meeting when, as we've done before, this is a public comment opportunity that is intended to relate to the special meeting, not to Liberty's application, not to anything specific to that. But if there's any other business related to the planning commission, this would be an opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes about that. Again, as we've done before, we'll go to a public hearing, and then you have the 5-minute opportunity to sign off. Seeing no public comment, I think we can move on to the public hearing portion. So again, as we've done during the prior 2 sessions, there are tickets at the front. Please register if you'd like to make a comment tonight. I think we would need a motion to change from 3 minutes to 5.
We do, I got it wrote down there.
Okay. So our general bylaws provide for up to 2 minutes per comment. In the previous meeting, we updated that to 5 minutes. Do we have a motion to update that to 5 minutes today?
I make the motion that we amend it from 3 minutes to 5 minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So we will, you will have up to 5 minutes. So again, you sign up for a ticket, you would be called by number, you could come up and make your statement for 5 minutes. When you do come up, is that microphone over here? Okay. Please try to speak directly into the microphone. I'm not great at that person, but try as well as you can to speak closely so we can all hear what you have to say. At this point, is there a motion to move into the public hearing?
I make the motion that we move into the public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The purpose of the special meetings and public hearing will be to consider a special land use application submitted by Algonquin Power, Michigan Energy Development LLC, DBA Liberty Power to construct a utility scale wind energy project in the township known as Riverbend Wind Energy Center, and to consider any other business that may come before the planning commission. Specifically, the application proposes approximately 26 wind turbine locations, access roads, underground electric power collection cables, transformers, a laydown yard, a substation, and operations and maintenance facility, and other ancillary facilities, improvements, and structures. At this point, we will begin the comments. If you want, Scott, if you want to call numbers?
Okay. Start with number 25.
Speaker, Township President Bill Carlos. First of all, I kind of like to apologize to Ben, I think it's Wayne, because you claim they have a conflict of interest. There isn't one person sitting in front of me right now that doesn't have a conflict of interest. Because it's an opinion. And when your opinion is swayed by this or that, then that's a conflict of interest. What we're here to do and it's taken all this time to do it, is to approve the ordinance that was put forth by the board, by both boards, and approved on 100%. And that ordinance was, they put their permits in on that ordinance. That's the only thing that this board and this meeting should address. And it's already been approved. It was, you paid for it. You sent it out to independent lawyer, independent engineer, and it came back with a few gray areas, of which I'd like to commend Mr. Conley here, I think it's his name, of his presentation, because he took that ordinance that we're here to talk about, step by step, and then included the gray areas, and took it upon himself to call Liberty and talk about the gray areas. And they said that they would abide by all the gray areas, and I don't know what you call them.
Can't hear.
Can you speak into the microphone just so that everyone else can hear?
But they've already agreed and to all the stipulations in the ordinance that's supposed to be on the docket for this public hearing. Now, everything else might be fine for anything going forward. That's up to them. But that has nothing to do with this ordinance that has taken so long and should have been done over a year and a half ago. And it's just too bad that it took a court order to have it done. Because that was your job to do it. And you wouldn't do it because of a conflict of interest. Because there's absolutely no proof, and it's been proven by Mr. Townley that Liberty would abide by the whole ordinance, even the gray areas. So by law, you can't refuse that, turn that ordinance down. Whether you voted that ordinance in or whether you didn't vote that ordinance in, by law, you can't turn it down. So I hope that there's some accountability that if you do turn this down, that there is some accountability, because this township is in for a $750,000 windfall if you approve this ordinance. Now that's, to me, that's a lot of money. And if it's not, if you don't do it legally, and we lose that money, I pray to God they come after you for it. And there's only one man in that, sitting there, that could write the check for his portion and wouldn't hurt. But the rest of you, I feel sorry for you. Because there should be some accountability sometimes. And we wouldn't be here at this meeting today if you weren't afraid of going against a court order. Right? Right. Thank you.
Bonnie Sproul, Speaker Township resident. Mr. Townley reviewed the ordinance per our request, the township's request, and said it all met all the qualifications. By law, you are required to pass this ordinance, to pass this permit. It is the law. As long as they meet all the criteria, you have to pass it. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. You have to pass it. We went for a drive this weekend to Merrill to investigate Mr. Stevens' comments. I spoke to 3 different individuals and 3 different businesses. First of all, there's a housing shortage in Merrill. Secondly, the old school is being converted into 17 apartments because of that housing shortage. Third, there's property that has just been sold behind the school for more apartments. Does that sound like what he was saying? crazy. I don't agree with it. Just remember, by law, you are required to pass this, as long as it meets all the criteria. Mr. Townley says it does, and I expect to see it passed and approved. Thank you.
My name's Tom Murray, and I'm from Speaker Township, and I am here to say that you have two options. One is you can reject this ordinance and this special land use. Two, you can approve it, but if you approve it, you can do two things. You can approve it without any conditions. You can approve it with conditions. If you reject this special land use, here, that they presented, and we lose the $700 and some $1,000, in a few years, your names will be forever the reason we lost this $700 and some $1,000. It won't be these people out here that'll be the 5 of you. Some of the conditions that I would like to see made is I'd like to see you follow what the engineer said. I'd like to see you set up some kind of a table for taxation so that there's no arguing over it after it's done, that it's in place and that you have it. And I would like to see you get approval from FAA for the detention lighting, the radar detention lighting. If the state of Michigan comes in, there'll be a 55 dBA here in place of a 50 dBA that you're worried about now. We right now have the power to control this, where if the state comes in, who knows what'll happen. We don't have that power anymore. Thank you.
My name is Rella Hoffman. A request for approval of a land use or activity shall be approved if the request is in compliance with the standards stated in the zoning ordinance, the conditions imposed under the zoning ordinance, other applicable ordinances, and state and federal statutes. Keywords in the paragraph above are if the request is in compliance with the standards stated in the zoning ordinance. My review finds that the Riverbend Wind Energy Project is not in compliance with the zoning ordinance standards, so the special land use must be denied according to section 504(3). Of course, a decision involving a special land use permit application must be based on sound planning and zoning criteria, section 17.02 of Speaker Township zoning ordinance provides this criteria, stating that requests for special land uses shall be granted or denied based on the following standards. In other words, the Planning Commission cannot approve a special land use unless it finds that it complies with all 4 of the general standards in section 17.02. Standard land use standards. The location, size, and character of the proposed use shall be in harmony with and appropriate to the surrounding neighborhood. The discussion, at a height of 656 feet, the wind turbines will not be in harmony with the bucolic rural setting in which they are proposed. The rural countryside that the residents of Speaker Township have enjoyed for decades will be replaced by the discordant and unappealing sights and sounds of wind turbines. To put this into perspective, the turbines will only be 71 feet shorter than the tallest skyscraper in Michigan, the Renaissance Center in Detroit. They will be 101 feet taller than the Washington Monument. They will be 406 feet taller than the cell tower on Burns Line Road in Speaker Township. Conclusion, not in compliance. The determination whether 656-foot wind turbines would be harmonious should be made by the residents who have to live near them. The Speaker Township residents have overwhelmingly voted against the last proposed wind zoning ordinance and voted out the township officials who were behind this project, which demonstrates that the residents do not find them to be in harmony with and appropriate to their surroundings. The first duty of government is the protection of the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens. Good government includes listening to the clear will of the voters when they identify priorities for the community in which they live. B, the proposed use shall not result in the creation of a hazardous traffic condition. The application states that the project will not create excessive traffic during the operational phase. While this may be true, the greater concern is the traffic during the construction phase, for which no information is provided. In conclusion, a traffic impact analysis is needed to document the impact of construction traffic. The site layout, intensity of use, and time periods of use shall not be such as to create a nuisance due to dust, noise, smell, vibration, smoke, lighting, and other causes. Regardless of the standard use, noise and shadow flicker are two prominent nuances that are undeniably associated with wind turbines. Because of the significance of these nuisances to the quality of life of the residents. 2, sound analysis prepared by respective experts in the field will be provided by another presenter. Non-compliance. Evidence from respected scientist sources indicates that noise from wind turbines can be a highly annoying nuisance. Residents currently have 0 shadow flicker on their homes or property. Shadow flicker may well exceed 30 hours per year and will be a nuisance for countless residents in the rural area and will cover most of the village of Melvin. Acceptable mitigation measures for these nuisances have yet to be proposed. D, all specific requirements of the zoning district where the proposed use would be located shall be complied with. The Riverbend Wind Energy proposal is not in compliance with numerous zoning requirements. Not in compliance. Site plan review and approval is required for special land uses according to section 501(3) of the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. The Planning Commission is not authorized to approve a special land use or site plan that is incomplete or not in compliance with all zoning requirements.
Because you simply need to say no. This stuff will contaminate the groundwater. There is not an if, it's a matter of when. These things are forged in fossil fuels. They are delivered on fossil fuels. They are operated with fossil fuels. And ultimately, they will leak. It's not a matter of if, they will. And they will contaminate the groundwater. The water table here in this community is very high. It also flows towards Lake Huron. Once you contaminate the water, who is going to be liable to clean that up? Is this circus that's in town, are they going to be cleaning it up from Canada? Probably not. The people that sold their property to the windmills, they will be held liable. You're contaminating this area for our children and our grandchildren if you vote yes. I have issues with that. When these turbines are done spinning their guts out, then they are dismantled and they are put in landfills. Nothing about them is recyclable. You can't refurbish them. Canada's not going to take them back, okay? They bring the garbage here. We get to bury them here to contaminate more land for our children and our grandchildren. You people need to do what's right for your community. You are obligated to protect your community from this future threat. This is not clean energy. There's nothing clean about it. It's political. There's a lot of propaganda about it being clean energy, but it's not. So just say no.
I'm here to speak about a YouTube video I watched last week since the last meeting. I did have a chance to speak with our county administrator today. Santa Ana County has been in litigation for 12 years with energy companies in regards to the tax clawback that's been happening. It's 4 counties, Huron, Gratiot, Sanilac, and Tuscola, involving 3 separate companies, Consumers, DTE, and Constellation. Originally, this was because of the depreciation schedule that was set. After they ran for a few years, they decided that they wanted more of their tax money back. So they came back to the tax tribunal board and asked for $1.5 million back. They've changed that since then. They changed the depreciation schedule to $855,000, which was later reduced by an agreement to $570,000 in St. Clair County alone, Sanilac County alone, involving Delaware, Marion, Minden, and villages in St. Clair County, or Sanilac County. And in addition to that, Constellation will forgive that money if they get back into bed with them and repower their turbines that are in their communities. Sanilac County alone has paid over $800,000 in litigation fees. The whole litigation has cost over $5 million for all 4 of those counties. Please take that into consideration with this application. Thank you.
31.
Joe Patrick, Speaker Township, my farm. I checked in with my crop insurance guy the other day when I was seeing all these pieces of windmills washing up on the beaches and everything. It's like, well, they fly over to my place, or the wind gets blowing and the oil gets blowing over and damages my crops. I asked him, can I get some insurance for this? Because I can get insurance for a lot of things, you know, hail damage and stuff. Well, he says there is no such thing. I said, well, what happens if, he says, you're insured if somebody races around out in your field, knocks your crop over, get in a wreck, all this other stuff, hail and stuff, but you're SOL. He says, you might as well get a lawyer because if you're not a participant, whoever participated is reliable for that. And it's just like going back to the state, they will hold whoever's putting the windmills' feet to the fire, you know, for these things. Sure, it may not go quite as much money to the community, but it's gonna, you know, if they take over, they've got the power. Our little township ain't got no power to make these guys. They're big business. They're here today, gone tomorrow. We could give you this $750,000. There's nothing saying you have to. It's grant money. Grant money can be divvied out. I could win the lottery and tell you I was going to give you half of it, but there's nothing to say I have to. You know, so, you know, you guys got big decisions. This is a lot bigger one than ever went on before. And we got a lot of people up here, you know, both sides counting them, you're doing the right thing, so. My right thing might not be the same as the neighbors, but, you know, I've seen them up at Caseville. The one behind the Caseville up in Pigeon School, I took another picture of that. Richardson Road, the windmill at Lincoln Oil, and in the background, you see their new school they built that we're paying 4 school taxes on now to keep it because they did the clawback. And the clawback is here, been happening. You guys have seen it, I'm sure, heard about it. But, okay, thank you.
Hello, I'm Carolyn Pathak from Speaker Township. The Michigan Township Association states a master plan is a comprehensive plan to guide a community's future growth and development. A zoning ordinance is a law that implements and enforces a master plan. Basically, our master plan is our law of the land, our constitution. And the people who ignored it to rewrite the ordinances in favor of the wind company, I believe, did so in violation of the oaths of office. I'd like to explain why our master plan demands that this SLUP be denied. I provided you copies of the materials that I'm quoting from pages 2 and 3 of the master plan. The Speaker Township master plan states, community character. Speaker Township can be described as quiet and rural. Rural character is a subjective quality, but is typically associated with an overall perception of limited development and extensive open spaces. The township's rural character is largely shaped by abundant farmland and pockets of woodlands, wetlands, and other open spaces. The diversity of the area's character contributes to the area's desirability as a place of residence. The preservation of the township's unique character and identity is an important part of its long-term welfare. Preservation efforts can protect property values, minimize negative impacts between adjacent land uses, and enhance the overall quality of life. Our objectives: consider rural character, preservation, interests as one of the relevant factors in determining appropriate development. Encourage the preservation of the township's natural resources, including their visual character, environmental integrity, and recreational values. Ensure that the quality and quantity of new developments does not unreasonably create increases in air, noise, land, and water pollution, or the degradation of land and water resource environments, including groundwater. Our goal is to provide a healthy residential environment in which persons and families can grow and flourish, and which recognizes the opportunities and constraints of the township's public services and natural features, and preserves the overall rural and single-family housing character of the community. Discourage uses and structures in residential areas that undermine the residential character and peacefulness of such areas, such as commercial encroachments and accessory buildings of excessive size or inappropriate location. Commercial uses can vary significantly in character. The character of Speaker Township does not support commercial uses of a big box nature or similar uses that draw from a more regional market and which contribute to excessive traffic levels and public service demands. Similarly, intensive industrial uses that result in excessive public service demands or produce external impacts such as noise, odors, and similar features are not compatible with the current and desired future characters of this community. Encourage commercial and industrial development that is in character and scale with the township's rural character and surrounding land uses, considering such features as building size and height, architectural design, setbacks, signage, lighting, landscaping, and screening in open spaces. Limit industrial uses to those that are predominantly characterized by assembly activities and similar light operations that do not require the processing of raw materials or negatively impact surrounding land uses in the community as a whole. Discourage commercial and industrial encroachment into residential areas. Speaker Township includes areas of woodlands and wetlands, watercourses. In light of the importance of these resources, the plan supports their protection. Preservation should take precedence over the unnecessary disturbance or destruction of these resources. The presence of such resources in areas designated for development should be recognized in the deliberation of rezoning, site plan, and similar proposals. Land uses requiring state and or federal permits, especially for wetland or floodplain alterations, should not receive final township approval until satisfactory evidence has been submitted verifying the acquisition of all necessary permits. I have attached a list of permits from the wind company's application that they do not have. In the absence of these permits, the master plan demands that the SLUP application be denied. The master land use plan did not contemplate wind energy facilities as a desired prominent land use throughout the community. The township is clearly not planned for wind energy systems. The fact that the township has adopted a special land use regulations governing wind energy conversion systems is a case of putting the cart before the horse. Since proper planning should have preceded adoption of the regulations, the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act states that a zoning ordinance shall be based upon a plan, the master land use plan, designed to promote the public health, safety, and general welfare. The bottom line is that, as it currently stands, the Riverbend proposal is not consistent with the adopted Speaker Township Master Land Use Plan, and therefore the SLUP application must be denied. Susan Davies, Speaker Township resident. First and foremost, I want to thank Mr. Townley. I think he gave Speaker Township their money's worth. His evaluation, from what I've heard, I haven't actually seen the report, was spot on. He took the time to evaluate your ordinance and match it up with the needs of Liberty Power in this application. He told you when he did his presentation that you had absolutely no reason to turn down this application if you adopt the SLUP application and you apply the conditions that he put in that worksheet. And I hope you remember that. I am reading shortly from the Speaker Township Planning Commission bylaws, which were adopted and put into effect on August 16th of 23. For most of you, it predates your participation on this board, but nonetheless, it covers you, or you're covered under it. In the adoption of decisions that you have to make for this LUP, your choices are motion to grant approval or motion to grant approval with conditions, motion to table for further information and discussion, or motion to deny. 4 choices. It doesn't involve emotions. It doesn't involve a lot of all of this other nonsense that has been introduced over the last 2 meetings. Pretty simple. You have the application, you have the ordinance, you need to apply the ordinance to the application and render one of those 4 decisions. I want to change the topic for just a minute. I have questions for the Speaker Township Board and also for Liberty Algonquin. Are you familiar with the clawback tax? And obviously you are. You were introduced just momentarily ago. So are you familiar with the clawback tax that was doomed to bankrupt USA, Unionville, Seaboing area schools? How can you guard Speaker Township against that same type of taxation issue from happening with our local school districts? What steps specifically will you take or have you already taken to avoid this pitfall? Has there been any type of preliminary discussions with the Sanilac ISD and or the local school districts, i.e. Croslex, Yale, Peck, and or Brown City? Why or why not? And how do you propose to safeguard our school systems if Liberty's project is approved? For Liberty Power, I ask, what guarantees can you give us, the taxpayers in Sanilac County and these 4 school districts, that you will not over depreciate, you will not find yourself in the same position as Huron County Schools, specifically Unionville, Seaboing, and expect a clawback of your taxes, possibly bankrupting our schools? What steps or agreements are you willing to legally make and not at some point in the future break? Another topic that I want to hit on briefly, again, it's been brought up by the other side. A very limited number of area people have cried foul dealings of their private well systems following Liberty's well
30
drilling
seconds.
this past winter. Were formal complaints made by property owners? If so, what steps were taken to investigate the claims? Were they satisfactorily remedied? Has the matter been remedied to everyone's satisfaction? If so, how? And if not, why not? And what policies and procedures are in place to remedy that future water quality will be safe.
Is someone holding ticket 34? Yes. Would you like to speak? Yes. Then bring it up.
Why are you doing this to me, Scott?
You got ticket number 34.
See, the last time you got me all shook up by not starting the clock just to see how honest I was. Now this, that's good. You're successful, by the way. How's this? Is this okay? Okay. Thank you.
When microphones attack.
Okay, here we go.
Ready.
Ready, okay. First part is a little bit jokingly, but I want to know where our map is. I feel that we're slighted. Fremont Township got a really nice map on an easel and provided by Liberty at their hearing like this. We don't get one. We had to bring our own. Carolyn had to make a bunch of maps for us. I inquired with Liberty a week ago why. I'd also inquired earlier why they insisted on using October 2022 map. So if I got this right, that's the map they had when they submitted. I understand that, but for the sake of accuracy, there has been changes since then. I'm hearing 26 turbines now instead of 19. I feel for you to make your best decision and for us to understand what we're talking about, because that's a very important part of these meetings, we should have that map. It should be proudly displayed if you're proud of it. Is it being concealed? That's maybe a little too much to say, but still, okay? It's a question. Where's the map? The map's not here, okay? And it is conspicuous by its absence in my eyes. It's significant. So that got me thinking, what else is not here that should be here? What else would help us? What else is conspicuous by its absence? So Liberty has brought, and many of them are here again, they brought a number of experts to talk about different studies about wind turbines, effects of wind turbines, studies of wind turbines. Okay, we've had wind turbines for about, give or take 20 years, 15, 20 years in Michigan. So, I don't know how much studies we need because we're kind of growing our own experts. So something else that is not here, but may have been here, I'm wondering, in this room, at the update suppers that the leaseholders have. They may have a benefit of this that we do not have, and that is this. Where are the farmers from Huron County? Where are the farmers from Deerfield? Why are they not here, and have they not been here, singing the praises of wind turbines? Where are the residents of Deerfield singing the praises of wind turbines? They're not here, okay? They're just not here. They're conspicuous by their absence. Where are your contemporaries? Where is the Planning Commission from Deerfield Project? Where are the Planning Commissions? Somebody mentioned Merrill. I don't know that much about Merrill. Where are they? Why are they not here talking about why they did what they did, why they made their decision, and how great it is for their township to help us figure out how great it's going to be for our township? They're not here. They're conspicuous by their absence as well. Liberty has offered to give us a few decibels and a pat on the back if we go ahead and say this is okay. What is missing? Here's what's missing. How easy this would be to take this off the table. A statement like this. Liberty Power agrees to cover all legal expenses for the enforcement of sound violation, et cetera, et cetera. We've talked about this. We don't have the money to enforce that, frankly. Any windmill company is going to fight that. How easy it would be to take that off the table, but it's missing. It's not here. It's conspicuous by its absence. How about property values? Very easily, Liberty could say, look, we'll do a workup. If you've got a turbine here that's 15% we'll give you off on your, if it's this, it's that. Liberty, a statement could be like, top of my head, Liberty could say, we will do a workup for you to look at on property values, and we agree to pay all your legal expenses. That's the key, legal expenses, to make good on that. That's missing. That's not offered. It's not here. And it's conspicuous by its absence as well. So, in my last little bit here, I would just say this. If Gretchen is going to
30 seconds.
jam this down our throat, let's let her. This is not for us. 656 foot tall wind turbines are not for us. My last 20 seconds, I think it's ironic Speaker Township is looking for a zoning administrator. Why do we need a zoning administrator? If somebody's garage is 5 feet too close to a property line, or they're hubcapped, or their license plate, we're gonna have these what does it matter? What does it matter?
Excuse me, Patty Shen, how are you? One of the things that I hear people talking about is the drawback of clawback of taxes. And when we started this project, we were proactive and entertained discussions with the Mr. Sunquest, who has been involved in all of the negotiations on depreciation schedules to the north of us. And we have talked with him, and he is able and willing to work with the townships and Liberty to make an agreement on how that depreciation schedule is. And I'm assuming that you might have known that. Do not know Ken, but that's the case that is. That we were proactive enough to say, we don't want that to happen in our townships. So that would be one of the conditions that I would suggest you have in your decision process, that we don't get into that situation. So, everybody talks about values, property values, and we heard last week some information regarding property values that just sank up in Gratiot County and in Midland County and in the area. I did a research on Gratiot County Equalization Department, and in 2020 their real property was $1.7 trillion. In 2024 it was $2.3 trillion, and it incrementally went up every year. So I'm going to present this information to you so you have it, so you have documented information of something that I'm saying. In Midland County, the residential real property in Midland County in 2020 was $2.4 trillion. In 2024, it was $3.5 trillion. In my math, that's an increase. So we're not seeing the devastating effects on property values that have been touted at this public comment period. I will give you these for your information. I do have on the Midland County one, but it's a lot of paper, so I didn't copy that, but I do have the one from the Gratiot County, if you'd like that. If you want the Midland one, or the Midland one. Yeah.
36.
Yeah, I do this every day. My name is Mary Engelbrandt. I live on Delbert Line. I'm a resident. I am here today to defend my right as outlined in the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which states in part, no state shall deprive any person of life, liberty, property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the law. My requested condition for the SLUP is that the applicant must produce safety manuals which state exactly how many feet are required in the safety zone for each turbine, specific to the model being installed. If the safety zone exceeds the current setback, the current ordinance abridges the privileges of its citizens and must be changed so that no property owner loses the use of their land through trespass zoning, which is a violation of the Constitution. Prior to the applicant pursuing the Speaker Township, the setback ordinance began at the property line. Changing the ordinance made it possible for participating board members and the wind company to install more turbines than the law had allowed. This proved to be financially beneficial to these parties. There are safety zones for each turbine in which no activity can be conducted. The current setbacks have the potential to create trespass zones for non-participating landowners. The fact that the applicant has not produced the safety manual, which identifies the safety zone so that the proper setbacks can be ascertained, is alarming. The residents of this community have been demanding them for years to no avail, which is one of the primary reasons we held a recall election. I have two examples which demonstrate trespass zoning from other communities, say the Huron Mountains and what is trespass zoning. I sent a copy to the clerk if anybody wants a copy. So these demonstrate how my property will be affected. Steve West also did a verbal graphic that shows 1,250 feet setback measured from a neighboring home. And once the turbine's up on your neighbor's land, you can't build on your own land if it is within the 1,250 feet of that zone. So in the example, Farmer A collects the contracted payments from the wind developer. Farmers B, C, D, and E lose the right to build on their own land. The person who owns parcel A can site a turbine and collect contracted payments from a wind developer. The owners of B, C, D, and E have the right to build their home anywhere in the yellow circle taken from them without any compensation. Even worse, they cannot appeal to any local government or planning committee. They have no say whatsoever in this taking. Speaker Township is a farming community. Most of the parcels can suffer this infringement. This violates the rights of every non-participating resident to equal protection under the law. Based on the information provided, no property should be subject to these conditions. The only remedy for equal protection is to have setback at the property line, which clearly exceeds the safety zone. Liberty is aware of this constitutional violation of property rights as evidenced in Exhibit 3, Down East Wind LLC Site Location of Development Act Permit Application. It was published by the Government of Maine. There are 68 pages. I printed 9. It states the hub height that must be required. They went 10 feet over. The safety setback of the actual turbine, not the property line. These are safety-related setbacks specific to wind turbines. These are not merely borders to avoid infringing on a neighbor's aesthetics. Included in the full document is a letter from Vestas to the Government of Maine. If Liberty is claiming there is no such thing as a safety manual, safety zone setbacks, or other issues which would limit the number of turbines they can place in an area, this document is evidence that they are withholding information from the township and its citizens. Safety zones must be known and comply with the 14th Amendment protections afforded every citizen of Speaker Township. Exhibit 4 is from MSU Extension Community Planning Zone. Mary Ann Heidemann explains that assurance that public decision makers act without bias or conflict of interest, including avoidance of ex parte contact. It also states the importance of assuring procedural compliance cannot be overemphasized. Violation of procedural due process, 14th Amendment, is the most common way that planning and zoning decisions have been successfully challenged.
30 seconds.
The previous board violated the 14th Amendment by changing the ordinance from property line setbacks to household. It's a violation of citizen due process rights for a board member to change the ordinance that benefits them and harms their neighbors. The only rationale for this was to allow more turbines in the area. I'll end it. Thank you.
ski on from Fremont Township. For one thing, I'm sorry that somebody threatened you guys, because that was not right to do. As a leaseholder or anybody, even if you're not a leaseholder, you guys are here for the duty of all your residents, not just some. And if we hear around their sides what they talk about, what is the one thing and only thing they talk about? Money. Not one of them has said this is safe for us. This is safe for our well water, safe for our community. How is it right that they can put a turbine on their property and ruin their neighbors' property rights by not being able to build or do something? That is not right. What should be right is if it's on their property and it doesn't infringe on somebody else. You have health concerns, and you've all read it, I'm sure you have. This has been going on for 2 years. I don't have to reinvent the wheel here. We have said it over and over. We have done research. We know our well water. We know it's shallow. We know that infrasound can travel. We know that I even asked their expert what happens to animals. Yes, they move because they don't like it. We can't move unless you're going to lose your property right. You're going to lose your house because you can't be able to sell it if you're sick. How many of you have talked to people from other counties in the state of Michigan that had to have moved their house, beautiful homes, because their kids were ill and sick and could not sleep? I have. I hope you take this in consideration. There are things that there's no map, like they said, the safety manual, that can't be proprietary. If they do research and have to see how far something throws, shouldn't that be something that you should be concerned about? Why are they hiding it? Because it's probably not safe. That's all.
Suzanne Schaefer, and I live across the street from Speaker Township. I've been to some of your meetings. Anyway, I don't care anything, but I'm very concerned. And I implore you to really think about this and to deny this application for land use. I don't see anything that I've heard so far at some of the meetings and people that I've talked to that these turbines and even putting up solar panel farms are safe to our community, to our groundwater, to our wildlife. Those are things that I moved out here to enjoy and to have my family enjoy. And not only that, it's just I'm very concerned about health concerns. I've been diagnosed with cancer twice. I really don't want to go through it again. I don't want anyone else to go through problems, and there isn't any data, any extensive data as to that they can't rule out that these things will happen to people because of, and then also the lack of sleep. Lack of sleep, there is, studies out there that show that sleep deprivation and problems that interfere with sleep, like people that live next to railroads that grew up with that, people have problems with sleep deprivation, and it affects their quality of life. To thrive, and I think I pray that you will consider these things and consider our community and your families too. It's not just, I'm sure you're good people and you have all these things to consider, and I'm praying that you will look at all these things, including the taxes, and also I don't really believe that property values eventually, and let's look 10, 15, 20 years down the road, what our property value is going to be. The reports, I think, are just maybe 5 or 6 years old. So, validity, I'm in agreement with many of these people, number 37, 36. And I thank you for holding this hearing and
while you're considering that, we have one letter, I can read that if you want to fill out
Okay.
a waiting or. Dear Planning Commission, my sister and I own a farm in Speaker Township that has been in our family for 4 generations, over 100 years. I'm writing this letter to oppose the proposal for the wind turbine placement in the township for the following reasons. The township has the right to regulate how land is used within the township and the right to deny access to a private entity due to the fact that the private entity has no property interest. Disclosed in N3 LLC or Dissolver Township. Only landowners in Speaker Township have a property interest, and we have the right to ask the township to prevent violation of our rights, and the township has the power to create ordinances to protect our rights. I request denial of the special land use application submitted by Algonquin Power Company. In support of my request, I would submit the following. Wind turbines are a health hazard. The World Health Organization, WHO, has international experience with wind turbines. WHO has determined that the sound produced by the turbines in excess of the maximum average of 35 decibels adversely affects the health of human beings. The turbines also produce a strobe-like effect that may lower the threshold for having a seizure, which is a potential health concern. The state of Michigan setback requirement of 1,100 feet is not sufficient to protect human beings from the health effects of wind turbines. WHO has determined that it is necessary to have a half-mile setback from a property line, not from a house. The ordinance for Speaker Township should adopt WHO standards. The Michigan Zoning Enabling Act and the Michigan Constitution require priority to be given to the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of the state. Please consider it your duty to protect the rights of Speaker Township residents and the landowner to deny this special land use application by Algonquin Power Company. Please prevent this company from damaging the health and welfare of this pristine agricultural area. Sincerely, this is Carolyn Bruce Ferguson.
Last opportunity for anybody to sign a card and speak. Sure.
Luann Dickinson, Fremont Township. I'm very unprepared to speak tonight, but I just wanted to ask you guys, please do not pass this. We have been fighting this for, 2-3 years now? And, the only thing I see going on here with the leaseholders is nothing but greed. It's all about money. The Bible says money is the root of all evil. And that proves that right here. I have talked to people all over Wisconsin and other states, leaseholders, saying that this is the worst mistake they ever made in their life. Once you sign the lease, your rights are taken away from you. You have no say in what goes on your property. They will tell you anything to get you to sign that lease. So I'm just asking you, please, tonight, deny this. Do what is right. You've all taken an oath, I'm sure, to protect this community. Let the state take over. We can still maybe fight this through the state, but at least we know that you've done your position by trying to protect the township. So I please ask you to protect this beautiful land that God gave us to enjoy. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to sign a card and speak at this time?
should, so the time of the presentation is 20 minutes.
How many?
20, I believe. Is that what the attorney said? Laura, is that correct? Okay, so maybe we should have a discussion and someone else.
To decide how long they can speak for the
So
presentation.
maybe we should have a motion then, just get it from someone else, how much time we have.
I'll make a motion for 15 minutes for the public.
Is there a second? Second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The time will be 15.
Norm, can you hold for a minute? I want to make sure this is set.
You'll catch up.
That should be good right there. Pay special attention to this month with the words surplusage and nugatory on here. Before I get started, I heard the word safety manual here. My ears perked up real quick. Some people talked about it. Please use the word, if you do consider it, use the word unredacted safety manual, not just safety manual. When I finish my presentation, you'll understand why I'm suggesting an unredacted safety manual. Okay, I'm not a township nor a county official. I've never wanted to be one ever. I don't want to do what you guys have to do right now. Not on my board at all, not whatsoever. I would never consider being appointed to the planning commission. I certainly didn't want to run for a board position. Other people asked me, but that was a big no for me. I wanted to be able to help other communities not go through what we went through in Elmer Township, which is in Tuscola County. According to an Apex Energy Character Assassination piece, Apex wrote about me in a letter to the editor of Michigan newspaper several years ago. I'm just a retired gym teacher. You know, kind of like a housewife is just a housewife. I'm sure they like that description. Apex, of course, didn't mention that I also taught math, history, career education for 35 years, and that of the 80 different totally different township meetings that I've attended in counties that I visited in Michigan, Ohio, I was almost always asked, like I was here, to present. I don't just show up for the heck of it. Residents and officials usually want to hear about the NextEra Energy lawsuit against my township in Tuscola County, which they lost in federal court. Most of my comments tonight will deal with NextEra, NextEra Energy, Apex, and DTE. You can decide if their comments that I've heard since 2016 are half-truths, partial truths, lies of omission, outright lies, or just misleading comments. Any wind company will be able to apply for a permit. You know, it's not just Liberty. It can be anybody else. So before you agree to anything, please keep my comments that are coming up in mind. A wind representative in Michigan once said, judge us by our whole body of work. I don't think they'd say that to me after all the township and county meetings that I've been to since 2016. These are just some of the examples of a wind company's body of work in Michigan since I've been doing this in 2016. Remember, I'm a retired teacher, so to start things off, I'm going to give you guys a little quiz. Got paper and pencil? Oh boy. Don't tell me you ain't like a 7th grader. I ain't got no pencil. Please do not, pause there. Please do not open this. You can read the bottom, but don't open this sheet that I'm giving you until we're ready to go. if you read the bottom line there, it says shall not exceed means Nextera can average the sound. Nextera Energy wrote in their legal brief to the federal court judge that the sound expert, Carrie Stanley, that the township hired, said, again, Nextera said in their brief, the sound expert said, shall not exceed means Nextera can average the sound. Lift up that flap, and that's what he really said. But in their brief, and I'll read this in a minute, in their brief, again, Nextera in court said, shall not exceed means Nextera can average the sound, and that's what Carrie Stanley, the acustician, said. For the people behind me that can't read this, what he actually said was, it would be totally unacceptable to state, shall not exceed means Nextera can average the sound. Now, is Nextera lying? Do they not understand what they were writing? You guys decide. A neighboring township next to my Elmer Township in Michigan was also sued by Nextera Energy. One of Nextera's wind representatives commented at a township meeting, 55 decibels isn't loud because Tuscola County has 65 decibels. That makes sense, except Tuscola County doesn't have a wind ordinance. The Elmer Township Planning Commission chairman asked a Nextera Energy rep if he knew where wind turbines were to be located. The representative said, this is one of my favorite, I can't honestly tell you. The very next day, the location of every wind turbine in our township appeared on the FAA website. The next day. Reminder, judge them on their total body of work. Nextera stated they've had only 3 wind turbine accidents. This was back in 2016. I was a rookie back then, didn't know what I was doing. I found 7 online. We have it on video. They kept repeating over and over again, we've only had 3, and I found 7. It's not something they wanted to admit for obvious reasons. In April of 2016, Nextera stated $50,000 would take care of decommissioning. $50,000 wouldn't even come close. Why do I say that? Well, that was in April. Okay, then when there was a public hearing like we're having now, in November, a few months, several months later, Nextera realized they were losing community support. The wind representative, the same one, said decommissioning, 1 wind turbine was going to be $675,000. Changed their mind a little bit. At the Elmer Township public hearing in November of 2016, and this pertains here, it sounds like, Nextera said they were in compliance with all 25 provisions of the wind ordinance. Our Concerned Citizens group said no, and Spicer Engineering disagreed. 2 acousticians or sound experts that were brought in disagreed. The Planning Commission disagreed. I disagreed, which means nothing. Okay, and the Board of Trustees disagreed. Finally, the federal court judge disagreed with Nextera. That's what's happening here, it seems like. At one of the federal court hearings, Nextera's attorney said, Judge, no one in the state uses LMAX to measure sound. LMAX is one method of measuring sound, and the state of Michigan and Liberty doesn't want to use LMAX. At that time, I could have given the judge the names of 4 townships in Michigan, most of them were here in Sanilac County, that used LMAX. Yet, here's Nextera's attorney telling a federal court judge, I don't believe anyone